Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Pro View. I'm your one and only Lux, LOC to the S. What we got here today is something that I've been neglecting over the past few weeks. um, as obviously, I love football. I enjoy football. I played football, and it's something that I do like to cover. Mainly, obviously, the Premier League, and I thought, you know what, might be about the right time to bring back football, football content. Obviously, I've been doing a lot of boxing lately, and I've been neglecting boxing, but my football. Sorry. So today we're gonna be talking about football, and we'll be talking about the new managers in the Premier League. Not only the new managers, but we're talking about the 5 new managers who have never coached or managed in the Premier League. So on this list, obviously we got Bournemouth's new manager, Marco Rose, and we also got Pierre Sage, Alvaro Arbeloa, who is taking over at Fulham, Matthias Jaissle, who is also taking over at Newcastle after Eddie Howe's departure last week. Xabi Alonso, obviously, played in the Premier League, Liverpool legend, but he's gone to Chelsea. So we're going to briefly talk about these managers, look at their formations, and I'll have my guesstimation on whether these managers will be successful in the Premier League. The Premier League is not an easy league. It's a league that's seen many managers crumble. We've seen the likes of Eric Ten Hag crumbled. The likes of Ruben Amorim struggled. We've seen other managers from other clubs as well. Managers that's never managed in the Premier League, they'll come over and they'll have a horror show. It's just a completely different type of league. But without wasting time, I'm going to start straight away and start talking about Marco Rose, obviously German. That's where he's from, and yeah, credible history. Obviously started at Mainz, I believe, and Lokomotiv Leipzig. Moved on to Red Bull Salzburg between the years of 2017 to 2019, where obviously he won the UEFA Youth League before he obviously took over the senior team, and obviously he won the Austrian Bundesliga titles in the cup in 2019. Obviously, he then moved to Borussia Mönchengladbach. I always struggle to say that, man. Flipping hell. German, yeah? Borussia Mönchengladbach. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how to say that, but yeah, between the years of 2019 to 2021, and obviously, he obviously helped the team to go back in the UEFA Champions League, knockout stages as well. Obviously, over the course of the 2 years that he was there, he moved obviously to Borussia Dortmund, during the 2021 and 2022 season. Obviously, that's where he was in charge. Remember when Haaland and Bellingham were at the club at the same time, finishing second, obviously, in that league. And he moved to RB Leipzig between 2022 to 2025, and he won the DFB Pokal Trophy in his debut season, 2022 to 2023, obviously. But now he is moving on to take over in the Premier League down south next to the beach for FC Bournemouth. Yes, I think this is a calculated move by Bournemouth. And considering, obviously, he is taking over from Iraola. Similar style. If you recall, Iraola liked pressing. Like, it was like a tactical type of press that Iraola utilized. Whenever they didn't have the ball, they'll work hard to get the ball back. And this guy, obviously, his philosophy derives from the, is it Gegen or Gengen press? Pressing, which obviously we saw at Liverpool under Jurgen Klopp. And obviously, on paper, it looks like a 4-4-2 or 4-2-2-2. Yeah, the 4-2-2-2 was quite famous, obviously, through Jurgen Klopp. But yeah, what we've seen him at, Mönchengladbach and at Leipzig, he used the 4-2-3-1 a lot. So I think, again, shrewd business from Bournemouth, calculated risk, decent experience. Some of these German managers that have come over and been successful, and some of them not quite. Maybe so due to the profile of the players that they had around them, but we've seen with Jurgen Klopp being the ultimate, obviously, successful one. And I think there's also need to appreciate managers that come from the Germany league, because Oliver Glasner, that's the one. So Oliver Glasner, another one who had a successful, stint at Crystal Palace, winning them, obviously, was it the FA Cup and the there's a European trophy that they won, did they? No. FA Cup. They did get knocked out by Aston Villa, who ended up winning it last season. But yeah, Oliver Glasner did well. Another one that came from the Germany, with a Germany background. So I think I've seen a few bits and pieces from Bournemouth, been checking them out, the training sessions, and, the highlights of some of their matches, preseason games. And it looks solid. It looks like, he knows what he's doing. Some of the signings as well. The Cherries has made some nice signings there. Compared to what they had last season, it looks like, of course, different tactics. But it looks like it was a smart move from Bournemouth. I think what helped as well is knowing that Iraola was leaving early. He wasn't signing a new deal, so it gave them time to go into the market and look at the manager that suits the players that they have. and without too much disruption on the playing style, which they utilize already. Like I said, Bournemouth are a very good team, and they like pressing. When they have the ball, they like to get the ball off you. Very tactical. Uh, they know how to press as a team, and they know how to shuffle back as well as a team. So all in all, we'll have to see what this guy would deliver. But another one that I think might work in the Premier League. And then we move to Crystal Palace. Pierre Sage, French manager. We've already seen what French managers can do. Remember Vieira at Palace did all right before he got sacked. And we're seeing it with the Sunderland manager as well, who just came from the Championship, man, and straight away, made sure that Sunderland finished. Many people would have put Sunderland in the relegation battle before the ball was kicked last season. But they shook the world. They were in the top 4 at one point. They were fighting for European competition last season. Very close, but not quite. But again, Pierre, who obviously has had a unique journey compared to everyone else, really. Obviously, he came from non-professional background. He didn't play professional football, but rather played like amateur-like football. And obviously, he stopped early. I think at 24, he stopped and started completely focusing on coaching. And unlike most managers that are on this list, he's actually had to grind his way up, spend like over 20 years working in the amateur rankings in France. With CS Belly, Oyonnax, Chambry, Borg Peronas, and obviously as an assistant at Lyon Duchère and Red Star FC. So he's had a different journey compared to everyone else. But obviously, I'll skip the academy background for him and we go straight to his breakthrough season in 2023. See, first ever appointment as an interim head coach for Lyon in 2023, November that was. And remember, at the time, they were struggling at the bottom of League One. And he got there, won 15 of his 22 matches and made sure that they finished in the 6th place. And they managed to get the Europa League qualification as well. And managed to reach also the Coupe de France final, and got the job. And obviously finished in the year 2025 in January. And went to RC Lens. In 2025, obviously, finishing off at the end. 2026, league run-up, finished second. And he made sure they won as well the Coupe de France, the 3-1 victory over Nice. Now, these type of managers, I like them because of the kind of work they've done in the background. He's worked so hard. He's spent a lot of time in the lower league and developed himself to come to the level that he is successful at both clubs he's managed so far. But again, the experience he's had over the lower leagues, I think, would be useful for him in the Premier League. There is a lot that the Premier League, you know, a lot of managers struggle to deal with, physicality, the pace, relentless. There's so much, and there's so much focus on managers as well, regardless of which club you're at. So these will be good tests for these guys. But I think he's been prepared for this role. I'm not sure, obviously, if it's a natural fit compared, obviously, to Marco Rose when you're considering the style of football that they were playing under Oliver Glasner. So that's one to watch there. Because of his background, I'm confident that he could do well. But then again, I won't be surprised if he struggles, if he crumbles. Because the Premier League is a completely different league. Another one of the managers that came over, Alvaro Arbeloa, was the Real Madrid legend. Took over last season when Xabi Alonso left, obviously, in January, the beginning of this year. And managed to get them to the Champions League quarterfinals and again finished second place in the La Liga. It was, I think, a big jump from being the, Real Madrid youth coach, to straight away being the head coach. That's a massive jump. And this is an unknown quantity. He likes, obviously, what we can only see is the 4-3-3 formation that he utilized at Madrid. What else could you have played at Madrid? That's probably the best formation you can play. I've seen his training sessions at Fulham as well. Good communicating, the way he's driving his ideas. This one could work, but very high risk. If it works, high risk, high reward. If it don't work, it will be terrible. To be fair, Marco Silva, I didn't expect Marco Silva to leave. So this, again, good opportunity. And he's made some good signings again to fit his style of football. He looks very driven, very into it. But how many times have you seen that? We saw Amarim, he looked driven, getting involved straight away. And, the Premier League is a beast. It's like a force like we've never seen before. The physicality of this Premier League is incredible. And I saw what he was doing with his wingers, the late runs that they make, he makes sure he leaves his wingers very wide. Like when they're in possession, he likes them to be very wide. Don't get involved, just stay wide and expect to switch at any time and make those late runs as well. So it'll be interesting to see how he implements his style. Will he still use the 4-3-3? We will see. Another unknown quantity, I would say, when it comes to high-level football. Probably the most inexperienced manager out of all the other managers. So this one is going to be a test for him at Fulham. I'm probably most concerned about this guy here more than all the other managers that are on this list. But then again, we move on to Matthias Jaissle, another new manager. Obviously, he did his thing at Salzburg, where he liked using, obviously, the 4-3-1-2 formation. And I've already seen signs of that at Newcastle. Al Hilal, he was using more of a 4-3-3. Some people are calling the one in Newcastle 4-3-3. I'm not sure. It looks like a 4-3-1-2. Obviously, with like a 110 just behind, and the two wingers are quite narrow, you know. So yeah, another interesting one. This one very fresh because Eddie Howe got sacked. But if you look at his Salzburg history, he did all right there. Let me just bring up his his record on here. Obviously from the Austrian Bundesliga, kind of similar to Marco Rose a little bit early on in his career. Salzburg again, high press. This is another one of those managers that I think Newcastle, even though they're losing Eddie Howe, there's so many similar traits in the way that he sets his team up, and the way that Eddie Howe used to set his team up. I think very energetic, very high press. He likes that, and he's got the players to suit his style. You know, the likes of Anthony Elanga. You can utilize Watermada a bit more, a bit differently now, and I think he might be a bit more free. And Wissa again, another one of those that can play up there. You know, they've lost Gordon obviously. Barnes is still there. So this might be a good one. And you still got the likes of Murphy, who I think they'll fit like a glove. Of course, big players they've lost this season, man. Tonali is gone. Guimarães gone. They've signed a new keeper as well to fit his style of play. Kind of reminds me of one Onana. Ten Hag brought him in. Said moving from the higher, man. We need a new that can fit the style. But this, based on the way that he played at Al Hilal and the way that he played at Salzburg, this is promising. This is promising. And again, I've been watching these managers do their thing in training and in some of their games. Again, looks like a good one. Most of these managers, they will change, their style. That's a good thing. They will change their style to fit the players that they have and to fit, to ensure that they get, the best out of the team. And that's what I think Matthias Jaissle will do at Newcastle. So again, that I think it's probably going to shock people, but I like his style. I like the way that he plays. The concerning thing is defensively, how they're going to deal with teams if they pass through them. Because the Premier League is very, very high intensity the way that he wants his high press, by the way. So if you don't get the ball, tracking back could be a very long thing. But at St. James Park, the fans will force you to do things you don't want to do. You will track back whether you want to or not. That noise, that, they have that energy, If you can get the fans on the way that Ed Howe did, that will be a tough place to go to. But last, I'm going to talk about the one and only Xabi Alonso. Obviously, we know the man from his successful season, Bayer Leverkusen. Obviously, everyone knows what he was doing there in that season where they were unbeaten. But just going back a little bit, he was at Real Sociedad B, remember, in 2018 to 2022. He started quite early, with the under 14s, then took charge of the B team, which is again equivalent to the youth team. Just like similar to Arbeloa taking over the Real Madrid Castilla team. But then he helped, obviously, or guided the team, the Real Sociedad B team for promotion in 2021 for the first time in the Spanish second tier in 59 years. So early signs were there. He then moved to Bayer Leverkusen in 2022. That was October. I remember at that time, Bayer Leverkusen were near the relegation zone, and he managed to help them to finish sixth, and they did obviously reach the Europa League semi-final. And in the year 2023 and 24, that's the season where he went unbeaten, invincible in the German league, top tier. That's where he made the famous 3-4-2-1 formation. Amazing. That's performing to the highest level. Frimpong, with the strikers that he had as well. They were all high-level operators in that team. Fluid formation that worked very well and had everyone looking at him. Many people thought he's going to go to Liverpool. And given that, obviously, Liverpool ended up sacking Slot, we all thought it's a natural fit. But obviously, he's gone to Chelsea. And at Real Madrid, remember, after he took over in May 2025, obviously, he managed, even though they parted ways, see, both sides decided to move on. We all know it was a toxic environment at that time. But he still managed to win 24 wins in 34 matches. That's a good fit, to win 24 games of your 34 in your first season. That's incredible. So I wouldn't say it was a terrible season, but it's the high standards that they have, and obviously it just didn't work out for both parties. But he's coming to Chelsea, and at Madrid again, he was quite flexible. He didn't use the 3-4-2-1. He relaxed, he used the 4-2-3-1 and 4-3-3 at times. So flexible again, which is what you need in the Premier League. And we've already seen that in the preseason games that he's had so far. He's changed the bits that he's played 4 and he's played 3 at the back, which has worked. Again, it's worked at Chelsea before, playing 3 at the back. They won the league with Conte before. So it can work. And we've seen him getting the right type of signings that suits his style. Morgan Rogers, good business. And don't forget, they've signed some experienced players. Henderson, Danny Welbeck, which is what you need. You need a blend of youth and experience in your squad, and he's getting that. Those are good leaders. Henderson, terrific leader. Welbeck, well experienced, and he's got the wing backs that he needs. The right or left back or right back. He's got them, and there's the guy that used to play for Sporting that they signed last year, but he was going back on loan, and he's joined there now. He plays on the right side, and he's used to be a wing back. So a lot of positive for Chelsea. Of course, they've got 1 game a week, which will allow him to implement his style properly, and I think he'll be successful at Chelsea. Probably the one that I think will be more successful than anyone, just primarily because of his experience at, higher level coaching, managing big players, managing at a big club. He's got that experience. And in the season that we think he did terribly, wouldn't say terribly wrong, the season that it didn't end up well for him was at Madrid, and that wasn't a bad season if you think about it properly. 24 wins in 34 games is not bad. It's not bad. But it was just, I think, a bit too early for him to go there. And it just didn't work with those big players. But here, well respected. And I see them being successful at Chelsea. So if I was to rank them, I would say number 1 being successful for me is probably Xabi Alonso. Number 2, I think Matthias Jaissle will do well. And I think Marco Rose most likely to be successful. Then I'll put Pierre Sage. I think his experience in the lower league and he spent 12 or 20 years doing preparing. So remember, he's got a degree as well. And he's another one that likes to play it through at the back as well. And Arbeloa just purely for inexperience. That's all. That's all it is. Doesn't have enough experience for me. That's a big gamble, big risk from Fulham there. But anything can work. So, well excited for the Premier League for these managers. I only picked this form. I know there's a lot more managers that are new at clubs, Gary O'Neill new at Ipswich, Iraola obviously at Liverpool. New managers everywhere in the league. But I just wanted to focus on the managers that's never really had Premier League managing Premier League teams experience. This is their first time. This is new for them, managing in the Premier League. So the question now is, will it work? Let me know in the comment section. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. And let me know your thoughts on these managers. Peace.